You're now tuned into Radical Radio with Coach L.
Switch my attitude. I'm so radical. 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 I'm so radical.
Radical Radio is designed to get to the heart of our guest stories. Oftentimes, you see people moving and they make it look so easy. Many don't know the story behind the journey, the heartache, the disappointment, the wins, or even the loss. What has it cost you? We are removing the stigma of judging a book by its cover and gaining perspective from our guests in the most radical way, in their own words. Testimonies are meant to be shared to help others move forward. That's the radical way, y'all. Let's go. You can't heal what's hidden, and you can't break chains you don't acknowledge. The word says the truth shall set you free. Be true to yourself and allow the plan that God has had for your life to live. That's radical, living unapologetically bold and purposely authentic. Stay tuned for the radical coaching moment of the day. What's good, everybody? Hello. It is Monday night, so y'all already know what time it is. I want to thank you guys for joining us on Radical Radio tonight. I am your host, Coach L, the visionary of Radical Life, the brand that encourages you to be radical and live in your God-given favor every single day. Radical Life houses Radical Life coaching, Radical eyewear, and of course, this dope platform, Radical Radio. So I want to thank you guys again for tuning in. Let's go ahead and get to the radical coaching moment of the day. So I was just sitting, thinking, as you guys may know or may not know, I am a member success coach at Youth Lake County, which we help young adults 17 to 24 get ready for their careers, right? And oftentimes I tell them when they first come in the building, their main thing when they come into the building is that they are ready for change. A lot of times they'll tell us like, I'm ready for a change. I'm ready to change my life. I'm ready to go in a positive direction, right? So this radical coaching moment is about saying no to distractions, right? Think about it, y'all. When you make a decision in your life that you're going to move in a positive direction, when you make a decision in your life that you really are ready for change and moving in the positive direction that you should have been going or that you want to go, there are distractions that will come to stop you from moving in that direction, right? So oftentimes those distractions will be anything from, relationships, anything, from money, situations with family, residue coming back up, right? There's so many things that can come and try to distract you from the very thing that God has for you, right? So what I want to let you guys know, and I want to encourage you guys to do, is understand that distractions are okay. They are going to come. Anytime that you are trying to move into a different direction and you're trying to go right, the enemy is going to try to make you go left. That's his job. Again, we have to remember the enemy's job is to stop God's purpose from coming to fruition. The enemy's job is to stop you from being able to do the will of God. So a lot of times when you make those decisions to make better choices, to do things differently and do things in a positive direction, you're going to, you're going to come into the distraction. So I'm here to tell you, if you have, a book to write, don't worry about the distractions. They're going to come. You have to learn how to press. You have to push. You have to avoid the distractions at all costs. Know that they're going to come, right? So just push through them, press through them, cast them down if you need to, rebuke them if you need to, whatever it is you need to do. But do not get weary in well doing, for if you faint not, you will reap a good and plentiful harvest. So that is the radical culture moment of the day. Say no to the distractions. Do not let them sway you from the things that God has for you, because you will definitely be blessed once you overcome those obstacles. So, thank you guys again for joining me. I do have a very, very special guest in the building. I'm very excited. I'm so excited because I've been wanting to get her on Radical Radio for some time. And, you know, it was just simple as sending out a message and saying, hey, please come on to the Radical Radio show. And she's been an inspiration to me. She's been a light in so many people's lives. I see the testimonies. I see the, people that comment and thank her for all that she's doing. So it was only a great fit to ask her to come to Radical Radio. So we have Coach Shereka Littlejohn Dunston that is going to be on tonight with us. She is originally from Shelby, North Carolina. Shereka Littlejohn Dunston has called the Triangle home for 15 years. Shereka currently serves as a sexual violence prevention coordinator for the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and as the co-founder of Family Strategist LLC, doing business as Black Life Coach Connection. Shereka has dedicated almost a decade to the movement to end gender-based violence. She earned a Master of Social Work from Boston University, a Master of Science in Human Resources from Western Carolina University, and also a Bachelor of Arts from North Carolina Central University. Y'all, come on, y'all, give it up for Coach Shereka. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for having me. I am so excited to be here tonight. Honestly, this is like an answered prayer for me, but we can talk more about that later.
Yes, we will get into that. Yes, yes, yes. And let me tell y'all, look, her bio, it serves her no justice. She's very humble. She is extremely humble. I've learned that about her. But when I tell y'all this is the GOAT, she is the GOAT. And I mean it when I say it, she is the GOAT. She has pulled together Black life coaches from everywhere on the Black Life Coaching Connection. Y'all, if you don't know, if you are a coach or wanting to become a coach, you need to connect on Facebook with the Black Life Coach Connection. It is an amazing group. I am so proud to be a part of that network. It is amazing. So just want to put that plug there and leave it there for y'all, okay? So let's get into it because I'm excited, to hear from you and just ask you these questions that I have because I just want to learn more. So let's get into it. Coach Shereka, let's start with whatever it is that you want to share. Share a bit of your testimony. Tell us a little bit about you.
Okay. So I do want to start by giving a trigger warning. My testimony is hard to hear, but it's necessary. And April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So, I found sharing my testimony to not only help other survivors like me, but to help other people just understand how sexual violence affects people. It's a hard conversation, but it's a necessary conversation. Yes. And for those of you who have been following me for a while, you've probably heard this. So I sit before you as a multiple survivor of sexual assault. I was 16 years old the first time I was sexually assaulted, and that's how I lost my virginity. And so with that, it brought a lot of hurt into my life. I grew up the church girl. Like I was the usher in church. My daddy was a deacon. My mama taught Sunday school, and they never taught me about sexual violence. And, there are a lot of people like me born in the 80s whose parents never taught them about sexual violence. And when I faced it myself and I tried to say no, and the person did not listen to me, I was just at a point like I didn't know what to do. And a lot of people don't understand that when you're violated in such a way, like the stress response kicks in and it looks different for everybody. So some people fight, some people freeze. And I learned that I was a freezer. So after that, I was like, oh my gosh, why didn't I do more? Why didn't I stop this? And it got to the point for me dealing with that pain. And it happened on a school field trip. So the adults on the field trip had no idea it happened. I was scared to tell anybody. And when I eventually told someone after I returned home, it was my friends. And I changed. I changed so much. I was no longer that usher at church. I didn't feel as though God loved me anymore because this happened and I thought it was my fault. So I thought I was not worthy to be the good church girl because this happened to me. I became very angry, very bitter, very depressed. I tell everybody I'm an introvert, but I used to love talking on the phone to the point I had my own phone line at home. Yeah, I was a little spoiled. And I had a cell phone in high school. I stopped using them.
Wow.
And it got to the point where my parents thought, I was angry at them. I wasn't angry at them. I was angry at the world. I started getting into arguments with like teachers, friends, everybody. And I withdrew. I withdrew from everyone. And I was this bitter, angry girl. And, time passed. This happened when I was a junior in high school. By the time I was a senior, I had one of my favorite teachers tell me that my attitude was so bad that I would never get into college. I was extremely smart, ranked in the top 5% of my high school, the highest ranked Black person in the school. I got a full academic scholarship to college. I wasn't worried about that. And I told her off because, I had this new attitude now. And I went to college, still this angry, angry girl, to the point that people would say I was crazy because I would pop off at anybody over anything because I did not want to be victimized again. No one ever asked me what happened. Yeah, and because no one asked, I didn't really tell a lot of people. I only told, friends, and they didn't know what to do because they never been in that position. They never talked about it either. So, fast forward to junior year of college, I met this guy. He was a little different. I was like, it's not really my type. I don't do thugs. I like nerds like me. But he was so insistent on us being together. And that was a huge red flag that I ignored. And, I was like, okay, we can talk or whatever. It wasn't that big of a deal. We got together talking. For me, it wasn't serious. For him, he's like, oh, you're my woman now. You got to do all this stuff for me. And he became my abuser. Wow. And for most people, they think of abuse, they think of like physical violence, like somebody hitting you. He probably would have hit me, honestly, but I was scared of getting hit. Like I had a cute face and I'm like, he can't mess up my face. So his abuse was very verbal and it was sexual. He raped me repeatedly as soon as he could. Because as he told me, I was his woman and it was my job to sexually please him. Wow. And of course, the memories from high school came flooding back in. I was not okay. And I was like, I have to get away from him. So I didn't stay in that relationship long, but the damage was done. And once again, I didn't tell my family. I told my friends, and my friends did not know how to respond. I remember calling my homeboy like after the first incident, and he was like, that's crazy. And he hanged up the phone on me.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, okay. But this time, after I had been raped repeatedly by this guy, I wasn't angry and bitter Shereka anymore. I was scared Shereka. I was scared to leave my room. I had 2 jobs, one on campus, one off campus. I was scared to go to work. I was there on a full ride. I had to go to class. I was scared to go to class. So it got to the point I started disclosing to people because I couldn't go to work. I'm like, hey, I can't come to work. I was raped. And they were like, what? I told one of my professors, I'm sorry, I'm not coming to class. I was raped. And it was honestly a cry for help. And no one knew how to help me until I was working for the school newspaper. And the editor-in-chief was my homeboy, but he was also my boss. And I was like, look, he was like, Shereka, you have to come in for a meeting. You're not writing your articles. Like, what's going on? And I told him, I was like, I was raped. And he saved my life. God sent him to save me. Roni Camille, if he's listening, saved my life. He gave me a flyer to the counseling center, and they were having a support group for rape victims. And he was like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do, but here, I have this. And it turned my life around. He's like my angel.
Wow.
And I'm so glad he did that for me. Like, even though he didn't know the exact right words, just, pointing me in the direction of the help I needed changed the trajectory of my life.
Yes. Shout out to him. Thank you. That is, like you said, that's angel credit needed right there. That and you're so awesome to give, your disclaimer to let people know that this is a hard topic. It's a hard story to hear, but nonetheless, it is very important. How does it make you feel knowing that both times this occurred, that it was at school?
I have never had anyone ask that question in all my years of sharing this. Thank you for that question. School is something that's so important for me. I love education. So having these things take place in like school settings was extremely difficult for me because I couldn't leave school. Like, even though, the first time it was on a field trip, so I wasn't actually at the school. But the second time it happened in my dorm room on campus. I had to continue to stay in that dorm room until the end of that school year. And it was hard knowing that, honestly, it became like a prison for me. It was real hard. So as soon as I could, I moved out.
Right.
I had to, because, I just didn't feel safe in that space anymore. But I never really thought about the impact it had on me in school and how, that connection there, because I still love school because I was still a nerdy girl.
Yeah. Well, that's just, that's a word for parents to understand that these things can occur at school. I know oftentimes we feel like, school, church, those places are supposed to be our safe haven. We're supposed to be able to be safe. But these things are happening in these areas. So just, for listeners out there to know that, even in schools, even in churches, these things can still occur, and we have to keep our eyes open and, understand that it can occur there. Thank you, Angie McKinney, for joining us. Angela Ramirez, Kendra, thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate you for joining us. We are talking with Coach Shereka Littlejohn Dunston. So you work in a capacity for sexual abuse. You are a survivor of sexual abuse. When did you first share your story? What was the experience like when you first shared your story?
So, surprisingly, I was at school. I was at my university. So here's the backstory. For one of my classes, I majored in mass communications. We had to go volunteer and do PR stuff for like a local nonprofit. Of course, I chose the local domestic violence and sexual assault agency. I mean, it was a no-brainer for me. And part of that project, we had to present to the class why we chose the organization we chose. So I stood before my classmates, and I think I really shocked them because I was like, hey, 1 in 4 college women will be a victim of completed or attempted rape. And I'm the 1 in 4. That's how I started off my little speech, and the room went silent. But that was my first time, like really, really sharing my story with people I know. So I do have to back up a little, because as part of that same project, I ended up going to do some work for the crisis center, and it was a community vigil for domestic violence. And I ended up sharing my story there, but I didn't know those people, so it didn't feel the same. And I ended up doing the same thing on a radio show. I thought I was going to talk about the agency, and they were like, so what's your story? And I was like, oh, I guess I'll share it. But I don't know if anybody was actually listening in, but it came out so naturally all 3 of those times. And they were kind of back to back to back that, and I always tell people when I share my story, sometimes it feels like I'm telling somebody else's story. So yeah, it empowers me to share it.
Yeah, it's the most freeing thing is to be able to get your power and your strength to share your story. Um, it's how were you feeling? I want to get into how you felt the first time after you shared your story. Like, what were you thinking? What were you feeling at that moment once you were finished?
Honestly, all I remember is like being happy that it was over, and that I got it out. That's all I remember. Like, I guess it was a sense of relief. Like, hey, I said it. I didn't cry. People listen to it. I don't feel judged.
That's good. That's good. Because it's when you're sharing your story, as I'm listening to you say, I told my friends, but they didn't know how to deal with it. You were literally telling people, but they didn't know how to respond to it. So it wasn't as if you were sheltering this information. You were literally crying out for help, and nobody really knew how to respond. How did that make you feel when your friends, especially the guy that like said, "Oh wow," and hung up the phone? Like, what were you thinking? Like, I know you were like, "What's going on here?"
I was so traumatized at the time that I just remember sitting there like, oh man, who am I supposed to tell next? Like, if he responded that way, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
But I remember specifically like having this conversation in my head, like, well, you got to keep telling people because you're not doing okay. Like when it happened in high school, I thought I was okay. Like in my head, I was like, I'm fine. I can take care of myself. Like this will never happen to me again. I'll just be mean to everybody. Right. But in college, I was like, wait a minute, I need some help. So I'm going to keep telling people, somebody will listen. And, that's the advice that I give to people now. And as doing this work as a professional, I tell people like, keep telling someone until someone gives you the help that you need. Yeah. And I learned that lesson from my own life.
Yeah. Angie says, very courageous, and it was steps in your healing process by sharing it. Absolutely. I definitely do believe in and stand by that. Now let's talk, like, was there anything in your mind? Was there a reason that you didn't think to tell your parents?
I didn't think to tell my parents because my parents are very religious people, very Christian people. And I thought they would find a fault in me. And I love my parents. And honestly, I don't know how they would have responded, but I was 16 and 19 when it happened. Yeah. So, I made up a story in my head. But I knew we didn't talk about things like that in my house. And, I didn't know what they would say because in my mind, I'm like, they're going to think I caused this, which does happen sometimes in religious communities and in religious homes. So I wanted to avoid that. That's why I didn't tell them until like I was an adult.
Gotcha. How old were you when you told them?
I was 25.
Wow. So let's talk about that because I'm a church girl. I've read your book, so I knew the story, and it was so amazing to me, the parallels of the anger. When something happens to you and you're not able to really verbalize it and you're not really able to deal with it, it's almost like some people, and I was included as well as you, turn to anger. You start lashing out. You mad at the world. You angry at everybody. You fight everybody. Like nobody can win nothing from you because you basically are in this fight or flight mode where it's like, no, I'm gonna fight you because you're not gonna do that to me anymore. I'm not gonna have people disrespect me. I'm not gonna have people treat me wrong. So you end up being what I used to call myself as an angry bird, because everything was like angry. What would you say to someone who just automatically thinks that people that are angry, like, are just angry for no reason?
I would say ask a person what's wrong.
Mm.
Because honestly, that's all I wanted people to do. I really wanted someone to notice that I was acting differently and to ask me what was wrong so I could have gotten it off my chest and gotten the help I needed earlier in the process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. Now, when you started going to therapy, how did therapy change your thought process, your mindset? Like, what were the things that went on, back when you were in therapy that kind of start clicking to you to make you understand, like, okay, I can survive from this. I can beat this.
So let me just put this out here. I love therapy, but my first therapy experience was not good.
Oh, wow.
I wasn't ready. I thought I was ready. So, my friend gave me the flyer. I went to the school counseling center. Maybe she was just not a good fit, but she did what she needed to do. She tried to do her job.
Mm-hmm.
I was just really traumatized at the time. And I remember specifically sitting in her office and like staring at the wall, and I couldn't even say the word rape. It took forever. And she was like, okay, we're going to have a couple sessions with just me and you. Then you're going to go to this group setting. I was in a support group. I did not need to be in that support group. I waited to like the very last session to even share my story because everyone kept coming in, sharing their story and leaving. And I was like, well, my story's not that bad. It's not that bad. Like, I need to get over it. And I would leave my group sessions and go cry with my homeboy. And I'm like, why do you keep going? Because I need to, because I need therapy. So fast forward to my adulthood when I was 25. And I told my mama what happened. And I was like, I'm going back to therapy. This time, I looked for a therapist who specialized in what I was going through and dealing with.
Yeah.
Found an amazing therapist, and I was able to actually open up and to verbalize, all the things I was going through, what I needed help with, and I was in the right place at the right time to actually get the help. And now, I've healed from the rapes. I can say that. But I still go to therapy now. Like, I see my therapist every other week. She is amazing. She's a part of my self-care system. And I think a lot more people should go to therapy. And if they had a bad, go at it before, get a new therapist. Sometimes you got to fire somebody and hire the right people. So you can take care of yourself.
That's right. That's right. I love that part because a lot of people don't understand the search. It's like a job interview. It's like an interview. You have to interview therapists. You have to, even life coaches. I always say, like, you have to do your research on who you're literally going to, you're placing, basically, for me in life coaching, the way that I feel is like you're placing your soul in my possession, like, to help you. That's a big assignment. So you have to find the right therapist, the right life coach, the right person to assist you. How important is it? And I want you to share this for people that may be listening, to make sure that you find a therapist that has the experience in, say, for instance, like sexual assault or domestic violence or something like that. How important is that?
I think it's extremely important. Yes, all therapists are trained to, help people who are dealing with trauma and, mental health conditions and things like that. But if you find someone with the actual experience of working with people who have gone through what you've gone through, and I'm not saying they have to be survivors. You'll never know that, honestly, but they need experience working with certain groups of people. Even from my years of working with in domestic violence and sexual assault as a preventionist, I can tell you that some domestic violence survivors are a lot different than sexual assault survivors in that approach. So even getting really specific in the type of experience they've had working with survivors, like, that's important. So, find somebody who knows what they're doing, what they're talking about, because this is traumatic and you don't want to be re-traumatized trying to get help.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, Angie is asking a question. She says, how did your mother respond when you did tell her?
So my mama, she's gonna be so mad at me. She's like, don't talk about me on Facebook.
Oh,
But
are we sorry?
sorry, mama. She was supportive, but I remember her feeling sick when I told her, like literally sick to her stomach. And we couldn't talk that day because I mean it broke her heart. I'm her baby. I'm the last child that came out of her, and to hear that. And I remember when we really had the conversation, she was like, has this ever happened before? Who that? And she wanted to make sure like nothing happened when I was a small child. And nothing had happened to me then. And she was like, okay, so what are you going to do next? And I was like, Mom, I'm going to therapy. And she was like, okay. And my parents don't really talk about therapy. So that was big because they talk about Jesus.
Yeah.
So yeah, but she was supportive and I appreciated that.
That's amazing. Shout out to your mother for being supportive. Now let's change the trajectory a little bit here. Let's shift because you went to therapy at 25. That's also around the time, if I'm not mistaken, that you surrendered as well, correct? Am I wrong or right?
That was around the time.
Yep.
That was,
so
yeah, it all happened.
Because I want y'all to get this. I really want y'all to get this. I've heard so many stories of things that are happening to you and it being traumatic things that have occurred in your life. And you reach a point where, enough is enough. You reach a point, and I read in her book, in Coach Shereka's book, where she said, I was tired of being angry. I didn't want to be mad anymore. And she stated that she wanted to go back to how she was. She wasn't like this before. She wanted to go back to being happy as she was before this occurred to her or happened to her. So let's talk about that. You going through this traumatic experience and then eventually bringing you to this point of surrendering and saying, I'm going to give my life to God and this is what I'm going to do.
So, yeah. So, I have to fill in a couple details for the people.
Sure. Go ahead.
When I surrendered and when I decided to go back to therapy, when I decided to tell my parents what happened to me, it all came to a head because my aunt was murdered by her boyfriend. And I was like, oh my gosh, that dude in college could have killed me. And I didn't even tell anybody. And this is happening to her. And I felt like my whole world was spinning out of control. So I have been, as I told y'all, a church girl my entire life. The first time I gave my life to God, I was 4 years old. And I knew what I was doing. And I shocked the world. Like everybody in my family, like, what is she doing? But no, I had a conversation with God. Like, I'm ready. So after going through my trauma, I still went to church. Church didn't feel the same. Because it wasn't really about church. It was about, the relationship with God. And I had to get to the point where God was like, come on back, Shereka. It's okay. Like it wasn't your fault. And it all happened. I remember it was on September 11th of that year. Because, that's a date that we all remember.
Absolutely.
What was it, 2012, I want to say. And I couldn't sleep. My aunt had been murdered in March of that year, but this thing was on me for months, literally. And I couldn't sleep. And I was up at 6 o'clock in the morning, sitting on my couch. And it was like the presence of God came to me and was like, girl, it's time. It's time. And the interesting thing is, when I surrendered, God was like, Shereka, you got to share your story with some more people. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? Nah, for real. So I remember I was a blogger back then. I was a mommy blogger, and I not big time. I just like to share my experience being a first time mother, it was trendy. So on my blog that day, I shared my story. And I didn't know people were really reading my blog, because not only did I share it on the blog, I shared it to Facebook, because God was like, nah, you got another step. You got to actually share this with some people. And so many of my Facebook friends, and I had 400 at the time, started inboxing me. and started leaving comments. And I was like, what in the world? Mm-hmm. And, you know, they were like, yeah, I've been through this too. I have family members that have gone through this. My friend went through this. I've never told anybody this. And I was like, wow. But at that time, I was like, you know what, God, whatever you will have me to do, I will do it. And it was like I realized that I didn't go through all that trauma, all that pain. I didn't get diagnosed with PTSD and depression for nothing.
Yes.
It was so that, you know, God could shine his light through me to help other people, because there are so many survivors in this world. And some people don't even realize they're survivors.
That's right.
That they need to know that it's okay, and that you can heal, and that you can get help, and that you can recover. Like, you know, it's not the end of your story. It's not the end of your life. You are not damaged. That God can use anybody and can use anything.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Oh, goodness. That is amazing. It is amazing the way that God can just break you, because I believe that he has a hand, you know, in breaking us to use us. There has to be something that we can utilize. He has to give us something to utilize to get the glory for what he's done. So it's amazing just to hear your story, and just knowing, you know, what you've endured, and that you are, like, you're anointed for this. Like, it's crazy, because when I read your book, you know, a while ago, I was just like, okay, this all makes sense. You know, like, just the how passionate you are of making sure that you help others. And I'm telling y'all, when I say she's the GOAT, this is why. Let me tell y'all why I say this. There's not a post that you can put up in the Black Coaches Connection, right? Black Life Coaching Connection, that Coach Shereka don't respond to, right? She has, like, a lot of people in this network, y'all, and she literally makes sure that she responds to people when they have a question. She knows the people in her network. So if you say you looking for this person that does this, she hits you back and be like, oh, that's such and such. Like, it's just like a part of her DNA to, like, help people. And it's amazing hearing your story. It all makes sense how it flows, and how God is using you as a tool to literally help people, to help other people heal. Because now, not only are you a coach yourself, right? You're also a coach to the coaches. You're a mentor to the coaches. Like, y'all, like, this is like real God work at hand. Like, this is like him moving in such a way that it's unimaginable. Like, it's unexplainable to me sometimes, that I sit back and I'm putting everything together now. Let's talk about coaching. When did you get your coaching license, your coaching certification? What made you decide that, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to be a coach?
So I was 25 years old. I had just finished my stint in therapy with that therapist after, you know, had my little come into Jesus moment. And I was like, you know what? I want to help other people, because the transformation actually happened rather quickly. Like, I literally went to 4 sessions of therapy, and my coach was like, my therapist was like, Shereka, you're done. You don't need any more therapy right now. And I'm like, wait, what? I was a brand new person because I surrendered.
That was what the key.
On the last day, she was like, what do you want to do now? And I was like, I want to volunteer and help domestic violence and sexual assault victims and survivors. But then also I was like, I want to help other people too. So fast forward a few months, I was like, I want to be a coach. How do I want to coach people? And I saw this stress management certification online. And I was like, I've been through a whole bunch of stress. I can help people with stress. In March 2013, I got my first coaching certification of many. I became a certified stress management coach. And I learned that a lot of people who were dealing with stress were actually dealing with other things, that they needed a higher level of care. They needed therapy. So I was like, okay, this isn't working. A few months later, that summer, I got my first life coaching certification. And I I was excited. I was like, you know what? If my life can transform, I know I can help other people transform their lives. Like, all you need is a goal. And I crush goals. So I want to help other people crush goals, like whatever that looks like for them.
Yeah, yeah. That's good right there. That's good. So we didn't talk about this before, but I'm gonna go back to this. With the trauma that you experienced, you also, experienced depression and PTSD. Since we're there, let's talk about like life coaching. I know we've had discussions on the network about, having to say like, no, you may need to go see a therapist. You may need to go get this help before you can actually get the help of a life coach. Let's talk about that process because, well, let me ask you this. Tell us in your words what a life coach is, what a life coach is designed to do.
So a life coach is designed to help you get from point A to point B, and point A being where you are right now at this very moment, and point B is reaching a goal. So a life coach is not designed to help you honestly heal from trauma. A life coach isn't designed to diagnose you with any mental health conditions. A life coach is not designed to do the work for you. But, they are your accountability partner. They give you tips and strategies and solutions to help you reach your goal. But they teach you that all the information is already within you. You have everything you need inside of you. And, us life coaches kind of help as a guide to help you pull that out of yourself so that you can reach your goal.
Yes, yes. And that she's right. We don't do the work for you. We definitely want you to understand that you have everything that you need. It's just us actually pulling it out of you and showing you that here, it was already there. So yeah, it is extremely important to understand, even as a life coach, when it's not your realm. So what Coach Shereka is saying, sometimes we do as life coaches have to refer out. And it doesn't mean that you're not doing what you need to do as a life coach. It means that you are doing exactly what you should do as a life coach by referring out, because we are not professionals that handle mental illness, so to speak. So that is something that we have to pass on. What would you say are the keys to healing?
So the keys to healing, number one, you have to acknowledge that you need healing. And that's hard for some people. Two, you have to recognize the source of the pain.
Yep.
Three, you need to practice forgiveness. And, most people think of forgiveness like forgiving whoever hurt you. No, you need to forgive yourself for a whole bunch of stuff. And if you're in a place where you can forgive the others, cool. But I honestly like to tell people, focus on self-forgiveness. All that other stuff can be added later, but you got to forgive yourself. And then I'll say a fourth key is getting the right support system so that you can practice self-care.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That's good. That is really, yeah. That's really good. The one key that you just spoke of is the source of the pain. A lot of people don't acknowledge the source of the pain, but I feel like you can't heal unless you really are honest and truthful with yourself as to how, if you're healing something, that means that there was pain inflicted. So you have to acknowledge the pain that was inflicted that caused you to be in this position where you must heal. Forgiveness. Let's talk about forgiveness. Just even in your within your testimony, what was the process of forgiveness like for you? Like you said, you had to forgive yourself. So what was that process like?
So I had to admit to myself that I made some mistakes too along the way, especially when I was hurting without getting help. I harmed a lot of people, and I can admit that I was mean to a whole bunch of folks. I said some things I shouldn't have said. I did some things I shouldn't have done. And I recognize it came from a place of me hurting, but that doesn't excuse what I did to people. So I literally reached out to people to apologize to them. Now, I don't know if some people actually, saw my apology, because they may have had me blocked, on social media, how I knew how to contact them, but I tried my best. And I was like, I did some messed up things because I was hurting. So that was important to me. And I had to really say, okay, Shereka, you've reached out to these people, you apologize sincerely, but now you have to let yourself off the hook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's like, if God can forgive you, why can't you forgive yourself?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's good too. You rocking this. You rocking this. This is amazing for me. It's just I'm in awe right now. So when it comes to life coaching, you are coined a spiritual life coach. Let's talk about, there's not many of us spiritual life coaches out there, but I thank God for us. Why did you decide to go in the realm of being a spiritual life coach versus just, staying in the realm of, stress management or, the other titles that you had coined?
Right. So I didn't actually take on this title until last year, but I recognized the whole time I had been coaching, I was a spiritual life coach.
Mhm.
I talk about purpose a lot. I always tell people I help them move from pain to purpose.
Yeah.
And purpose is spiritual. Purpose is deep. I'm a big believer in manifesting our dreams.
Mhm.
I believe that, the spiritual realm is so important, and it affects a lot of the things we see in the physical. So
Mhm.
even before I call myself a spiritual life coach, because I was scared to use that term, I thought it would turn people off, honestly. And I was like, I don't know if I'm the right person for this. But I was doing it all along. Like before my sessions, I pray. I pray that I am decreased so that, whatever the people need, they can get it from the real source.
That's right.
I don't know if my clients knew that, but hey, y'all, if y'all listening, I be praying for y'all. But, because it's not about me.
Yeah.
There are times when I literally know things about my clients I should know. They didn't tell me.
Mhm.
I just know. And
Yeah.
that comes from a spiritual place. Like
Absolutely.
that's who I am. I was created to do this work, and I know it's part of my purpose.
Mhm.
And, I'm happy that I'm embracing this new title of mine, spiritual life coach. And I got a little certification to back it up.
There
So,
you go.
like, yeah, that's what I do. It's all spiritual.
Yeah. And that, it's amazing because, you've grown up in the church, this is, a lot of people don't, they don't understand when I say this is ministry work. Ministry work doesn't look like, just the pastor in the pulpit anymore. It is definitely God allowing us to be vessels and be messengers of His. And that's dope that you pray prior to your sessions. I actually pray with my clients, and hey, if you don't want me to pray for you, just tell me. But thank God, I've never had nobody say no. But I just feel like you said, it is a point of wanting to decrease yourself and allow the Holy Spirit to really guide you through this process. Because again, you have, somebody's soul in the palm of your hand. So it's definitely important to, pray and give it to God first. So let's talk about the network, because I love the network. So when did you start the Black Life Coaching Network?
I started Black Life Coach Connection in February 2020. It was like February 27th or something. So right before the whole world shut down because of COVID, I was on my Facebook asking my personal Facebook friends, y'all, how do you find a tribe? I want a tribe. And they were like, well, you have to go network and do all this stuff. I'm an introvert. I'm like, so I gotta go find people. And I'm like, okay. And I was like, I want to try online. I'm not going to any networking event for real. I know me. So I was like, I'm gonna start the Black Life Coach Connection, because that's what I always wanted, a connection with other Black life coaches. So I did it. Like I had the idea in January of last year. In February at the end, I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna start the group.
So the group is not even how many years?
It's just a little over a year
A
old.
little. Listen, y'all. When I tell y'all this network is dope, you wouldn't think that it's only been up for a year. Like, I'm telling y'all, it's a lot of people in this network. Okay, so let's talk. Tell them about. Y'all not gonna believe me. Like, you gotta be in the network to understand like what be going on. It be so much. It's a wealth of information. It's like, we have new coaches coming in saying that they got their first client. Like, just tell them, Coach Shereka. Just you tell them.
Listen, we got coaches in like all stages of coaching. There are people in that group that have been coaching almost as long as I've been alive. There are baby coaches. There are prospective life coaches. There are like famous life coaches. One of our coaches has been on national TV, everything. Well, at least one. One I know for sure. These people are dope. They got their own life coaching schools. I don't have my own, but I'm looking at them like I want to be like you when I grow up.
Step my game up.
People pour into each other in the group.
Yes.
People support each other and love on each other, and they form connections and bonds, and they collaborate, because I always say it's about collaboration, not competition. Like, we are not in competition with each other. We all do the same thing. We're all life coaches, and we are all getting money or trying to get money, learning how to get more money, and we're supporting each other. It is so dope. Like, I got the best tribe of life coaches on the planet, and they all look like me. How awesome is that?
It's amazing. It is amazing. Angie McKinney says, congratulations. We have Radical Radio saying, Shereka's shirt is dope. Where can we get that?
Oh, yes. So this is from the official Black Life Coach Connection t-shirt shop. If you go to blacklifecoachconnection.com, there is a link to the merch shop. You can get this same shirt I'm wearing. We got some other designs. You got on the Hope Dealer, Dope Healer. Oh my gosh. Yes, you can get that, which is my favorite hoodie of all time. Not just because I designed it, but it's comfortable too. But yeah, get some merch.
So what else? Tell us what else you have going on. I know that your business your business name is Family Strategist LLC, doing business as the Black Life Coach Connection. So you just did that merger. When did you do that?
Okay, so I did it in December. It took a while. I did it December 2020. I was like, you know what? Let me just go ahead and register this with the state of North Carolina, because this is what we're doing right now. We're doing Black Life Coach Connection. So Family Strategist LLC is the brainchild of me and my husband. We want to empower and educate families. He's a dope teacher. I'm a life coach. We just want to help people. We love helping families that look like us. And, with COVID and all the weird things happening in education, my husband is really focusing on being the best virtual teacher he can be. So I was really mostly running the business starting last year, and I was doing a whole bunch of coaching. And, I started this great network, and I'm like, this is us. Like, this is how we're growing. This is the direction we're going in right now. So, yeah, Black Life Coach Connection. That's our baby, our newest baby.
Amazing. So we also have, you have the Black Life Coach Connection membership. Can you tell the people about this monthly membership? I already got my seat, y'all. I was in the beta program. Don't get it twisted. It's been amazing. But can you tell them about the program so that if they are interested, that they can come shout out and get in where they fit in?
Yes. So I actually have two membership programs, because I'll be doing too much, but it's all good. So one part, and they're both for life coaches. One part is it will be called Motivate in May. They're in the beta stage right now, but it's a group of life coaches supporting each other. We are a support network. We're like a support group. Right now we meet every other week. Starting in May, we will meet every week. And we have some dope Black female coaches who can be ourselves and support one another and pour into each other in the support group. Then we have Elevate. Right now it's called Coaching Confidence, but it will be Elevate in May. Starting May 1st, actually. And it's where I get to pour into some coaches. I get to mentor coaches. Right now, we also meet every other week. Starting May, we will be meeting weekly so that not only I can, encourage people, but also give them some homework, some assignments. Let's work on this. Let's get more visible. Let's collaborate. We do challenges. We have other professionals come in to train us. Because I don't know everything. And I tell people I'm not a business coach and I do not play one on TV or the internet. But, I know some dope business coaches. I know some marketing strategists that we can bring in to pour into us, to teach us so that we can elevate our businesses together.
Absolutely. Listen, y'all, I'm telling y'all, it's a wealth of knowledge. Like Coach Shereka, she says she don't know everything, which I understand that because I get that part, but she knows a lot. She does a lot. She's, workbook. She can tell you about workbooks. She can tell you about so many different things. I want to encourage you guys to go and get this book. When I tell you guys, it is a workbook as well as it shares Coach Shereka's testimony. Got to get this book. Like, it doesn't matter what stage you're in either. It helps. It's like a journal. Most of us do journal and we, share our thoughts on paper. Get the book. Please go ahead and cop this. So, Coach Shereka, can you tell them where they can find you, where they can find your merchandise, as well as the books and everything that you have to offer?
Yes. So, the book, and I have my copy here too. You can get this on Amazon.com. You can get it there. You can get it on Lulu.com. But you can also find out more about me and all the things I do, because I do so much, at SherekaDunston.com or BlackLifeCoachConnection.com. So if you're looking more for, just a personal life coach, because I still coach regular everyday people who don't identify as coaches as well, please go to SherekaDunston.com. If you are a Black life coach, you need some mentoring, you need a course or two, you can go to BlackLifeCoachConnection.com and you can get to my merchandise from either page. Also, I have a podcast called the Peace, Purpose, and Prosperity Podcast. It's available where all those, podcasts are. So if you want to go to Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, a whole bunch of other places, you can find me. Google me if you need to.
Listen, we didn't even get to talk about the podcast. So that means I'm going to have you back on one of these days so we can talk about the podcast. Because like I said, y'all, she's doing so much. She has so much in the works and so much that she's doing currently. It's hard to get it all in an hour. Coach Shereka, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. I want to thank you for sharing your testimony. Thank you for being a light. Thank you for, being the best, mentor and coach to us coaches. It does not go unnoticed, everything that you're doing. And I'm telling y'all, from Instagram to Facebook to whatever, she is rocking with the coaches. So y'all, please make sure y'all go follow her on Facebook and Instagram. And yeah, do you have anything to add for the guests or the listeners? Sorry.
This is what I'll say. First of all, thank you so much for having me as a guest. This has been so much fun. But for the listeners, if you are dealing with something from your past that keeps popping up in your present, it is time to deal with it. It is time to heal. You don't have time to delay. You can feel better. You can recover. You can start this journey of becoming the person you were created to be. Your purpose is there. It's already within you, but you have to step up to the occasion. So, if you need to get therapeutic help, please find a good therapist. Find the right therapist for you. But, once you rock and roll out of therapy and you are ready to work with a coach who's, excited to help you actually walk into your purpose, I'm not even going to say holler at me. You can talk to me. You can talk to Coach L. We got a whole network of coaches that can help you. We can find the right one. I know some people, but get the help you need and live the life you were designed to live.
Absolutely. Thank you again. May God continue to bless you in all your endeavors. Bless your family for, allowing you to, do all this work that you do. I thank you again for rocking with Radical Radio. It was such a blessing having you on. You guys have a great night. I do have a commercial that we're going to leave out on, and we will see you guys back next Monday.
Hey dreamers, in this life, nothing is promised to be perfect, but with a little hard work and support, we can make it all worth it. Hi, I'm Maxie, owner of Eleanor Maxwell. We're a business support company, specializing in admin support for businesses, Hey dreamers, in this life, nothing is promised to be perfect, but with a little hard work and support, we can make it all worth it. Hi, I'm Maxie, owner of Eleanor Maxwell. We're a business support company, specializing in admin support for businesses, show production, events, and more. And guess what? I just self-published my first book, All My Broken Crayons Still Color, available now on Amazon. So, Eleanor Maxwell, follow, like, subscribe, all social media platforms. Let us help you glow through whatever it is you're going through.
They really trying us on StreamYard tonight. Y'all, thank you again for coming. You guys have a blessed night. We will see you guys back next Monday.